Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a question that honestly keeps a lot of parents up at night. Are screens actually damaging your child's attention span? Look, if you've ever watched a kid try to power through an assignment with a smartphone sitting literally inches away, well, you know exactly the kind of tension we're talking about. Picture this totally common scenario. A child is sitting at a desk, homework is open. Suddenly, a notification lights up on a nearby phone. Even if they don't touch it, bam, their attention shifts. Then a sound comes from outside. A pencil rolls off the desk. They look at the clock, look back at the worksheet, and suddenly realize they've read the exact same math problem 3 times without absorbing a single word. And as a parent watching from the doorway, it is so easy to think this terrifying thought. Screens have absolutely destroyed my child's attention. So do screens actually cause attention problems? Well, let's get into it. Because while that conclusion feels so incredibly obvious in the heat of the moment, the actual scientific evidence requires a lot more nuance than just a simple yes or no. We really have to separate our frustration from the facts to understand what is actually happening inside a developing brain. In this explainer, we're going to cover the screen time dilemma, what attention actually is, the multitasking illusion, association is not causation, distraction versus true ADHD, and we'll wrap up with the 5-part attention reset. Section 1. What attention actually is. It is not a single ability. You see, we adults often talk about attention like it's a light switch. A kid either has it flipped on or they don't. But the reality is way more complex than that. Attention isn't just one thing, it's a whole system of related skills. You've got selective attention, which is tuning into one signal and ignoring background noise. Sustained attention, which is sticking with a task until it's actually done. Then there's attention shifting, working memory, and inhibitory control. That's pausing an impulse, like stopping yourself from grabbing that buzzing phone. All these skills develop throughout childhood. So a child might focus perfectly on a video game, but totally struggle with math, simply based on task difficulty, their emotional state, or even just how tired they are. Moving on to Section 2. The multitasking illusion. Digital spaces compete for focus. Let's look at why digital environments are uniquely challenging for this complex attention system. Because digital spaces aren't just passive, right? They are actively competing for our focus. Think about standard digital features: notifications, multiple open tabs, rapid scene changes, short-form feeds, autoplay. All of this creates a highly fragmented environment. The brain is constantly being invited to shift, check, and respond. It acts almost like a flickering, erratic light beam. And what this heavy stimulation often replaces is protected attention. One single task, a quiet desk, extended reading, creative activity, outdoor movement. It replaces the steady, reliable beam of light needed for sustained effort. So when a teenager claims they can completely do their homework, message their friends, listen to music, and watch videos all at the exact same time, they're falling for the multitasking illusion. The brain isn't doing all of this at once, it's rapid switching. And there is a very real, heavy cognitive switching cost happening here. First, they have to leave their current mental set, then respond to a new stimulus, and then try to reconstruct the original goal. The result? Homework takes way longer, learning is way less efficient, and honestly, the kid just ends up mentally exhausted. All right, Section 3. Association is not causation. Understanding the evidence. This is absolutely crucial. While researchers definitely observe an association between heavy screen use and attention difficulties, as parents, you deserve a scientifically honest explanation of what that actually means. We can look at this through 2 perfectly valid theories. Theory A suggests screens cause the disruption. Basically, screen use directly contributes to less sleep, disrupted routines, and more task switching. But then there's Theory B, which argues that attention drives screen use. This means children who already have attention difficulties naturally prefer highly stimulating, fast-paced digital content. In reality, the relationship works in both directions, plus a third factor, like family stress, changing routines, or sleep problems, could be secretly influencing both the high screen time and the lack of focus. Because of this two-way street, it is scientifically inaccurate to confidently say your child has an attention deficit because of screens. Now, screen habits absolutely should be reviewed and improved, for sure, but you simply cannot blame screens for an attention disorder without a much broader, professional evaluation. Which brings us to Section 4, distraction versus true ADHD, recognizing the difference. This is such a vital distinction to make. Look, every single child gets distracted sometimes.
Ordinary distractibility is incredibly common when a kid is tired, hungry, overwhelmed, or doing a task that is just way too hard or even way too easy.
True ADHD, on the other hand, is never diagnosed from one frustrating homework session or a heavy weekend of gaming. Clinicians look for very specific criteria. The symptoms must be persistent, they have to appear across multiple settings, not just at the homework desk, they must have been present over time, be developmentally inappropriate, and significantly interfere with the child's daily functioning. A kid's ability to hyper-focus on a video game doesn't necessarily rule out ADHD, but struggling to focus on long division doesn't automatically mean they have it either.
Because of all this, we really need to avoid diagnosing or dismissing kids based solely on their screen behavior. Instead, we can shift our communication. Blaming language, like "your phone has ruined your attention" or "you never focus," that just shuts a child down. Try using curious language instead, saying things like, "Let's notice what interrupted you while you were working," or "Hey, you stayed with the first problem for 5 minutes, let's make the next step smaller." This reframes the whole issue as a shared puzzle to solve, totally removing the shame.
Okay, Section 5, the 5-part attention reset, creating an environment for focus. Let's look at how all this science builds into an empowered, practical plan of action for families who want to help their kids right now. These 5 non-judgmental steps allow families to create a truly protected environment. Step 1, reduce unnecessary competition. Just silence those notifications and move devices out of sight. Step 2, strictly protect one task at a time. Step 3, make tasks visible and manageable by breaking long assignments into tiny, small steps. Step 4, remember that a tired or inactive kid simply cannot focus, so fiercely protect their sleep, movement, and recovery. And Step 5, practice attention naturally outside of academic work through puzzles, cooking, or reading together. You're basically building that steady beam of light we talked about earlier.
You know, you can actually put this into practice today with a simple 15-minute single-task experiment. First, silence the phones and background media. Second, choose just one activity for 15 minutes. Third, do not switch tasks unless it's genuinely needed. And finally, when the time is up, ask, what pulled attention away? Was the task clear? Was the room just too noisy? The goal here isn't perfect focus, not at all. It's to safely learn exactly which conditions support your child's attention and which ones repeatedly disrupt it.
And please remember, while the digital environment can be vastly improved by these steps, taking away screens is not a medical diagnostic test. If attention difficulties are persistent, span multiple settings, and are actively impairing learning, relationships, or safety, seek a professional evaluation. It is always, always better to seek qualified professional guidance rather than just guessing or permanently confiscating the tablet.
We'll leave you with this powerful thought. We simply cannot control every single digital influence in our modern world, but by taking the steps we've outlined today, we can stop just demanding focus and start actually designing for it. Try that 15-minute experiment this week and just observe what happens when focus actually has a fighting chance. If we want our kids to pay attention, the real question we have to ask ourselves is, are we paying attention to their environment? Thanks for joining this explainer. Keep learning and see you next time.